Hello and welcome to your post-match Raw on the home of the champions, Anfield Index Pro, and podcasting to you from my field here in beautiful rural Ireland. I'm Trev Downey. Joining me to give their immediate reactions to Chelsea 1, Chelsea 3, Liverpool 1 in the Premier League from Stamford Bridge are Dave Hendrick and Harry Sethi. Dave, we won the Guard of Honour, to be fair.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people during the week had the view that the players might be drunk coming into this game. I think that could certainly be leveled at one or two in particular. A certain fella who started up top, a certain fella who might be the only Scouser in the team next season. But I think the drunkest man at Stamford Bridge might have been the manager.
For sure.
Look, the title's won. So ultimately, this game for us is meaningless. However, I'm in the business of wanting to see my team win every game we play. I'm in the business of seeing my team want to beat Chelsea every time we play them, because even though it's not a historic rivalry, it is a rivalry. It's a rivalry that began with Rafa versus Mourinho. It's a rivalry that sort of ended when Steven Gerrard slipped. And that was kind of it, because since then, the two teams haven't been relevant at the same time. They were good for a few years while we weren't, and we've been good for a lot of years while they haven't been. So there hasn't been that intenseness there. Like, we haven't been going head to head for things. The games between us in the league I'm talking about here haven't meant a whole lot. But we have played them in 3 cup finals, and it's been glorious to beat them in all 3 cup finals. Like, it's a glorious thing to beat Chelsea, a club with zero class, a fan base with zero class, and a club that has been built on like industrial level cheating, which is what we saw throughout the Abramovich era, much of which was uncovered, little of which has really been reported on, and none of which they've been correctly punished for because Abramovich is gone. Whether they're scared of upsetting these new owners, I don't know. But, this is a horrible club. They're a laughingstock of a club whose fan base live to win transfer windows. I like inflicting misery on them. And I really wanted us to turn up today at Stamford Bridge and play like champions and win the game like champions. And I know people have been calling for Arma to make more changes. I think today we learned that too much change is a bad thing, and that this squad really isn't as good as people make it out to be.
Yeah, I think there was ample evidence that, the changes that an awful lot of, right-thinking humans are saying need to be made are indeed of the utmost importance. And Harry, like I said to you just before the mics went live here, it feels a little bit churlish to be anything other than, talking about how we are champions. But I know it's a bit of a weird one, and it seems like a little bit of a kind of, I don't know, niche thing, but I was very, very high on Liverpool getting to 94 points. And I don't really know what significance it has other than it being of a handful of, the greatest league wins and shutting people up a little bit. And when you make as many changes as Arne Slot made today, you're going to put that at risk, to say the least. And it just feels a little bit underwhelming. I was saying to Dave and Guy before you joined us there, I haven't really imprinted on this league victory at all because of incredible pain and pain medication over the last week and a half. So I just haven't connected with it at all. And that just felt, I don't know, somehow joyless. There was no celebratory aspect to that game at all for me. And so it's just a little bit, I want to just bask in it. I said to Dave, Harry, if we can't get to 94 points, maybe the funniest thing would be just to lose all our games between now and the end of the season in a glorious mess. Like so much of that was today. To finish up with this rambling kick to you, it just felt a little bit underwhelming, didn't it? To tie into what Dave was saying, that some of the lads who got the chances weren't able to grab it with both hands and, have that champion panache about them.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that is sort of a good confirmation of what we already know, right? We know that despite winning the title here, I think one of the most exciting things about this Liverpool sort of side of champions, of course, is the obvious areas for improvement. Sort of the various ways in which this team can actually get better. I think that's what's exciting for me. That's what should be scary for rival fans across the league if they haven't really accepted that. Obviously, it's provided we do the correct business, but I do trust the club to go out here and back the manager after that kind of season. But no, it's always upsetting to lose to a footballing institution like that, and I use those words pretty lightly. And it's always, I mean, just the fan base, all game long. Some of the chanting, some of the, I mean, just the base level kind of support. It's, of course, it's frustrating. There is a rivalry there. It's not built on much in terms of sort of like necessarily sort of competitiveness over the years, but I mean, certainly across the entirety of the league, I think you'll find Chelsea is clearly one of the most disliked fan bases there, if not in Europe. So never ever nice to give them anything to celebrate at all. But yeah, hopefully that's it's giving even more credence to the business that we need to do in the summer. Various players who did have an opportunity today, I think, kind of solidified why they haven't been given more of an opportunity this season, and also show you, like for example, a functioning number 9. If you have one of those, Salah probably is getting 15 more assists next season, which is quite exciting for him. I'm sure he wants to break some more records as well. So. Yeah, it's a frustrating afternoon. I thought there were elements of the performance that were actually kind of fine, but also the elements that were very far below the standard we've come to expect from this side. I think we spoke as well before we started recording that to me one of the most irritating aspects of the entire afternoon, other than obviously just the usual having to listen to Neville's commentary, was just the fawning sycophancy of around a player who I think Sai revealed hasn't scored for 5 months before today when he scored a penalty like 20 seconds before the end after the game was won. I found it really kind of remarkable, and especially when you do consider what we typically see for the likes of Mo Salah when he's putting in these kind of consistent performances. Really remarkable stuff from Neville and the whole Sky team, I thought. But yeah, the first game after we were champions, I always kind of thought could be a little bit messy here, Trev. I hoped for more. There was professionalism from some. There was clearly frustration from some. There was less so from others. Those who are on the periphery, who are probably all going to move on in the summer. Those who haven't had much of an opportunity this season, who are on the younger side, again, really proving that they're quite a long way from the level required. But we did get to see, Wataru Endo walk onto the pitch, given a guard of honor by 2 midfielders who chose not to make the move, and also Romeo Lavia got his own guard of honor from the travelling cop as he left the pitch, which was quite enjoyable as well. So I'm clinging on to that, and let's just say last Sunday was a bit more fun than that, Trev.
Yeah, there were some moments for sure that we can have a little bit of a bit of fun with. But you've touched on a few things there. I think we'll come back to the remarkable televisual event that was Gary Neville's ridiculously over the top praise of Cole Palmer, in the context which you've outlined really well there. We'll come back to that because it is kind of significant.
Sure.
And it does feel a little bit like there's something happening there. Like this went beyond mere fanboy stuff. Like it's what is the angle there with that? We'll come back to it. But one thing you mentioned there about some of the people and some of the performances, and I think with both of you, it might be no harm with the context of the summer to come and some of the comments we've all made here regarding some of the lads already. It might be no harm to go through the Liverpool 11 and just talk about how they went today. Because what the most remarkable thing, Dave, to bring you back in here on this, just to get it started, I would speak to both of you on this, was the midfield has always been the midfield until today when it wasn't the midfield anymore. And the only one who was one of the 4 rotators was Curtis Jones, who had himself a terrible afternoon. Endo was drafted in for a start, which, as Harry says, is a very rare thing. And I think he acquitted himself reasonably well. And Harvey Elliott was the other man who made up the midfield, except he didn't really do anything to make up the midfield whatsoever. The only thing that was more sort of worrying about Harvey Elliott's lack of impact in that position was Curtis Jones' passing, which was from minute 1 to the very final goings in the game, where we're in an advanced position at 2-1, and he gives the ball away just in the most lax fashion possible. It was a remarkably poor outing from our midfielders in general. I feel bad lumping Endo in there because I think
I thought Endo was our best player. Frankly.
Yeah, I think he was. I think he was solid, but literally, he's not. He's never going to be the guy anyway who'll hold the whole midfield together on his own. He needs a little bit of help there. Up top today, we went with the trio of Salah, Gakpo, and Jota, and whereas Mo and Cody were game enough, Jota is an absolute ghost of his former self. I've no idea what's going on with that kid, but he is appalling. Like, literally has nothing to offer and hasn't for ages. I know there was a goal there in the title run in, but bar that, his performances have been uniformly stinking the place out. And we look across the back line there as well today, and he makes quite a few changes there, bringing in Trent, who played like a lad who is just basically heading off to Spain in terms of his involvement in the game. There was a few attempts at what would have been absolutely fantastic Hollywood passes, but they get intercepted. And so with the exception, I think, of maybe 1 or 2 crosses, I can't think of too much from him today. An awful lot of people could be forgiven for thinking that his mind is elsewhere. Virgil was partnered by Kwanzaa today, who again looked like a lad who was rusty and wasn't part of the setup. And Tsimikas played at left back instead of Andy Robertson. And at this stage, I think we're all of the opinion that it's much of a muchness. Which of them you put there? There's downsides to both. It is a bit too much by way of changes. You said it like, yeah, make changes, but good God, you take away McAllister, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, who are your go-to men. And then here's the thing. Did he have much choice at what he did up top? Apart from maybe Chiesa, who clearly has done something awful to the man. He's just...
Reds, it's Jack here, and that was a clip from one of Anfield Index's audio podcasts. If you have enjoyed the video, make sure you do like, share and subscribe to keep up to date on all things LFC. We record around 100 audio podcasts every month, with our shows featuring match-going fans, top journalists, professional analysts, and even Liverpool legends along the way. With the great Dane himself, Jan Molby, joining us every single week. If you want to listen to all our podcasts for free, head over to AnfieldIndex.com/podcasts. Our audio shows are available wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Anfield Index. Or if you prefer to listen to all our podcasts in full and without any ads, why not head over to AI Pro today to check it out now at AnfieldIndexPro.com. If you want to get involved in the great growing community of Liverpool fans, check out the Anfield Index Discord. The link is in the description. Do get involved with that from Reds around every corner of the globe. For now, Reds, hope you enjoyed this video.